So for those who, beyond our little group here, there's other people that watch these because we're posting them individually. So I wanted to include the context of my presentation, and that brings us back to last week's assignment, I'll call it, research assignment coming out of our session together. And Redlina creates these absolutely stunning graphics each week, and they're very inspiring just in the presentation itself. And I wanted to include that image along with how she described this week's encounter. A lot of people interested in astrology are fascinated by the topic of the upcoming age of Aquarius. But do we really understand what it means and the transformations, the transition between two major astrological ages is already bringing to the world? Well, that, of course, causes us to recollect, or it certainly does for me, just to ponder my own life in relation to this astrological archetype. I'm born with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in Aquarius. And when I was about 18, I had a job as a grocery bagger at the Canada Safeway store. And there were these little 49-cent astrology books. They were like little wee miniature books, and they had all the dates for the changing planets and so on. And that was my introduction to astrology. And it was really quite wonderful. And that was in 1970, I believe it was. And at that time, the whole notion of the age of Aquarius was becoming a mainstream kind of thing. We had, I'll just go into this first. My own contextualization of the world ages. Far vaster an astrological frame of reference than the yearly orbit of the Earth around the Sun is what is known as the precession of the equinoxes, a 25,920-year cycle tracking the movement of the Earth's axis in relation to the backdrop of fixed stars. It is this cycle which gives rise in Western astrology to the notion of successive world ages of approximately 2,160 years in duration and known as the ages of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc. And Redlina explained all of this very clearly. The precessional cycle is tracked according to the vernal equinox point, which appears to move backward through the fixed zodiac at the rate of 1 degree every 72 years. Currently, the equinox point aligns with the transition zone between Pisces and Aquarius, thus signaling the dawn of the age of Aquarius. Well, I'm going to maintain that we are in the dawn of the age of Aquarius. And there's a very gradual manifestation of the qualities of the Aquarian archetype. And they all depend on how individuals are responding to that potential. We are myth makers dwelling in a vast expanse. Any attempt to tread a psychologically satisfying path into what we understand to be the age of Aquarius requires that we, as individuals, weave our cosmologically contextualized, culturally conditioned beliefs into patterns of meaning. In doing so, under the banner of Western astrology, we co-create through the fabric of our own lives the emergent Aquarian mythology. So we're it. If we're choosing to bring those qualities into manifestation, this is how the age of Aquarius is coming on. So back in those days, 1967, Hair, the musical, came out, and along with it, the very famous song, The Age of Aquarius by The Fifth Dimension. And it's a wonderful song. I've never figured out exactly, the significance of the moon in the seventh house, Jupiter aligning with Mars. So aligning with Mars in what particular way? I've always been curious about that. Peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Well, that song was hugely popular. So there was this whole sense in the social fabric. People were embracing the mythology, and it was coming alive through artistry. Peter Max, one of my very favorite artists, 1971, he came out with this astrological calendar. Well, this was just great. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Pisces, Libra, sorry, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius. I quite like that because I was beginning to associate the qualities of Aquarius with my own life. Pisces. So a very, loving kind of presence evoked by all of these images. Now, around the same time, we had a gal named Marilyn Ferguson emerge, and this is bringing us up to the late 70s and early 80s. Marilyn was a Aries sun with a Jupiter in Aquarius and with a Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. And she manifested at that time a monthly mailing from what she called the Brain Mind Bulletin. Well, I managed to be a subscriber to the Brain Mind Bulletin, and over on the left, you can see there's a pile of journals. So once a month, I would receive this, just a 1 or 2 page flyer, but they always were just packed with significant information, certainly significant to what I was opening up to at the time. And I can't quite read the top part there. Redlena, would you please read that first?
Marilyn Ferguson was a New Age American author and public speaker. She became well known through publication of her first book, The Brain Revolution, published in 1973. Shall I go on?
I can take it from there. Thank you. In 1975, Marilyn founded the Brain Mind Bulletin, a monthly publication to create an ongoing dialogue for new discoveries across multidisciplinary fields. Bulletin subscriptions quickly multiplied and came to span 52 countries as of 2007. The Bulletin was largely responsible for popularizing some of the most significant scientific paradigm shifts of the 20th century. Ferguson's 1980 book, The Aquarian Conspiracy, chronicled the activities of an enthusiastic network of eminent and powerful movers and shakers from diverse fields, working to bring about radical change and create a more cooperative society. So that was according to AstroTheme. They've got a little write-up on Marilyn. So I've assembled some quotes from Marilyn. That's one reason the Brain Mind Bulletin was so potent in my eyes, because they had inevitably these really wonderful, very insightful quotes that you could kind of chew on for a while. And here's one that we start with. Aquarian conspiracy is the term I have coined for the network of people working for social transformation based on personal inner change. Exactly what was talked about earlier, especially young, focusing on the role of the individual in this collective transformation. Marilyn's doing the same. Our culture has little understanding of the purpose of myth. or the role of the myth maker. Myths are not for believing or disbelieving, they are for using. If a myth or metaphor works in revamping our deepest values, it is truer than the evening news or the textbook fact. Myth, poetry, art, and music are truths of a different dimension, sustenance and regeneration for the tired spirit. The human brain learns best by story, by game, by a framework of meaning. If anyone wants to jump in at any time here with comments, just please do. The paradigm of the Aquarian conspiracy sees humankind embedded in nature. It promotes the autonomous individual in a decentralized society. The new perspective respects the ecology of everything: birth, death, learning, health, family, work, science, spirituality, the arts, the community, relationships, politics. Making mental connections is our most crucial learning tool, the essence of human intelligence. To forge links, to go beyond the given, to see patterns, relationships, context. All of which, of course, is what astrology is all about, and certainly what our little group is about. Achievers have an enabling attitude, realism, and a conviction that they themselves were the laboratory of innovation. Their ability to change themselves is central to their success. They have learned to conserve their energy by minimizing the time spent in regret or complaint. Every event is a lesson to them, every person a teacher. And I think we'll find that certainly with Rudyard's approach to astrology is very aligned with this notion of taking every event as really as a gift, an opportunity to grow, as painful as that may be. Marilyn Ferguson on public policy. Public policy is designed by spin doctors who aim to keep our heads below the water. The public good is not a consideration, and their self-serving agendas prevail over common sense. And don't we see that playing out a lot? So the challenge is to overcome that sort of thing. And once again, the power of the individual to operate outside of the constraints of public policy. War is unthinkable in a society of autonomous people who have discovered the connectedness of all humanity, who are unafraid of alien ideas and alien cultures, who know that all revolutions begin within and that you cannot impose your brand of enlightenment on anyone else. So relinquishing the notion of force and of power over. This is one of the avenues into the age of Aquarius. Victory doesn't lie in taming our nature, but in progressively discovering and revealing more of it. You know, when I typed this out, I immediately thought, Red Lena, of our composite chart and the whole notion of discovering essence. It really seems to be what Marilyn was referring to here as well. and that's why I'm finding this this group encounter so vital, because it's discovery after discovery after discovery as the weeks go by. And just a final note, I know I've had the experience of proselytizing my enthusiasm for some particular project or idea. And for example, Bitcoin, you know, and wanting to turn my whole family onto Bitcoin, and them looking at me like I'm crazy. And me coming up once again to this whole notion of, you know, no one can persuade another to change. Each of us guards a gate of change that can only be opened from the inside. We cannot open the gate of another, either by agreement or by emotional appeal. And I think Marilyn really sums it up right there. And final word, transformation is a journey without a final destination. So Uranus, the archetype of constant change. And here she says it, a journey without a final destination. And that would be it.
Dwayne, thank you so much.